Mike.
Hey,
nope,
there we
we
go.
are. We have
What's up,
voices
Comic-Con?
now.
Yay, the Joker's
Joker
excited to
is up
see
in
us.
here. I don't know how to feel about that if the Joker's excited to see us.
There you go. I'm Jack.
I'm Sharon.
And we're from Fandom, and we're here at the Fandom Fest over here in the Interactive Pavilion of San Diego Comic-Con, hanging out and talking about all the awesome stuff at Comic-Con. Do you guys like movie trailers? Yeah.
And TV trailers.
And TV trailers.
Trailers in general.
Yeah, there we go. There have been a ton of amazing trailers that get released here at Comic-Con for some of your favorite things. Everything from the new upcoming Marvel shows to brand new Netflix films to all sorts of cool stuff. Cool sequels, new things and stuff. And there's so many in there that you maybe have not had time to go to all those panels and actually check them out yourself. So we've brought the trailers to you guys. We're going to hang out. We're going to watch some of these awesome trailers that premiered right here at Comic-Con and chat about them with you guys and you guys there at home watching on the internet. There we go. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a little relaxing. We're going to chill out. We're going to watch some TVs and hang out. Let's just kick this off. The first one, do we have any Pacific Rim fans in the audience?
Anybody?
Yeah, that was a cool movie. And when they announced giant robots and giant monsters, I'm a kaiju like movie fan myself, so like it was great. It was just this love letter to that type of film. It was better than the new Godzilla movie was. But here we go. Joker's. I don't know how I feel about the Joker agreeing with everything I say.
The Joker agrees with you.
At least somebody does. But they've announced Pacific Rim 2 starring John Boyega, and they showed off a teaser trailer for this. That's it's kind of weird and interesting. So let's roll that.
What is a Jaeger? A Jaeger is the pinnacle of human invention. When the monsters came, we did not wait for heroes to fall from the sky and save us. We saved ourselves. Innovation is our superpower. What is a Jaeger? It's you, times 1,000. Tall as a mountain, with a beating heart that burns as bright as the sun. Enabling us all to become the most heroic version of ourselves.
Join the Jaeger uprising.
All right.
Ooh.
Whoa, that was loud. that was pretty cool. What'd you guys think of that? Yeah, there you go. I liked that. Normally, I don't like when trailers don't actually tell me anything about the movie, but what felt kind of cool about that was it was almost like a Mercedes-Benz commercial, like on steroids.
It's like a Tesla commercial for like the new hands-free driving car or something. I definitely thought I was just suddenly watching an ad, which a trailer is essentially an ad, but it didn't feel cinematic in that way. It felt just kind of more, here are all of the glimpses of this new car that's coming out. But I like the fact that it's different. You know, it's not like your standard, here's all of like Transformers, blah, 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 right?
Right, yeah. As a teaser trailer, I think it works really well. It's not just like some random out of context line from the film and still shots. And it also, it's cool because it adds, I feel like it adds to the like world building of Pacific Rim, which is one of the best parts about it, and that it was so like colorful and crazy. It felt like an advertisement that might be showing on TV within the world of Pacific Rim for like people who are a recruitment video for people to join.
It is a recruitment
this
video,
like Jaeger uprising. For those of you who maybe see, the Jaegers are the giant robots that they pilot to fight the monsters that came out of a portal in the bottom of the ocean, which, spoilers, they blow up. But that doesn't necessarily mean that like all the monsters are dead. There's still like a lot to do. It's kind of this like they're coming back from humanity's coming back from the brink of extinction. So we're gonna see more of this. Are you excited that John Boyega's in another film, like another sci-fi film?
And you know he what's the latest film that he's been promoting? I think Detroit. He's been in like a really like serious, somber one. So I'm kind of excited to see him in. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say he's leading man, like the leading man in Star Wars, because like you're sharing the screen with so many people. So it's gonna be really interesting to see him like step into the robot, and I'm kind of excited to see him kick more ass, because he's kind of like that. A little, you know, he's a stormtrooper in Star Wars, but we don't actually really, like, he doesn't really know what he's doing, which is most stormtroopers, I suppose.
Yeah, he
but,
wasn't really saving the day that
he's
much.
not really like that punch guy. Like, Rey kind of comes to his defense in some of that. So it'll be really cool to see him, like, take that leading role.
Yeah, and definitely, like, he has that, like, sci-fi pedigree, and we know he can beat up aliens, because we saw that in Attack the Block when he was like 12 years old, and he was like beating the crap out of like those aliens. So he definitely like he has that like in him. So I'm excited to see kind of him continue that and like branch out and stuff. It's nice to like see. I feel like Star Wars can sometimes define an actor, and he's clearly like doing so much and doing so many things that he's just not going to. He's not just going to be Finn. He's going to be so many other things. And I think that's pretty exciting.
But if only Poe was also co-piloting one of these for him, right? If only.
What I hope to see from the film is a strong female character. One of the great things about the first Pacific Rim, I thought, was that they had this really strong female aspiring Jaeger pilot whose father was the general and like didn't want her fighting, but kind of like, you know, she built it up and she kind of saves the day. And then they actively don't turn her into a love interest. They they have the main characters stay kind of like coworkers and friends. Like they have to form a bond to be able to like do these things together. But they were like very specific. They're like, no, that doesn't mean that like there's a sex scene about to happen. Like you can have deep emotional connections and be like that close with someone like. And not have it just be a standard like Hollywood romance. So I thought that was nice. They give each other like a hug at the end of the movie.
They're like, maybe.
Like there's no, and you think there's about to be a kiss and there's not. And I liked that the movie kind of subverts those very common tropes, and I'm curious to see what they do.
Speaking of strong leading female, after watching this, I actually immediately thought of when the Hunger Games Mockingjay, like the last few trailers for those movies were coming out, because it was also like recruitment, like join the revolution kind of a thing. And so I like it. It's like the propaganda stuff. It's pretty great, and it's a little more foreboding. It's kind of like, well, now we don't know what's going on, like you said. It's kind of cool when they don't actually give the whole movie away in a trailer.
Yeah. So up next, this is a film that like I'm actually now really excited for. I wasn't sold on it when I read the description, but it's a Netflix original movie coming out soon starring Will Smith.
Oh yeah.
That's called Bright, and if you don't know anything about it, I don't want to even like spoil it for you. Let's just like roll the trailer so you can see what the hell this is about.
Why is there a fairy in the bird feeder again?
Good afternoon, officer. Fairy lives don't matter today. That's it right there. Now take the little homie out LAPD style like you do.
Oh, and you keep doing all your gangster stuff. I'm just trying to sell my house. Don't worry about that.
Everybody's just trying to get along and have a good life. All of the races are different. Just because they're different doesn't mean anybody's better or worse than anybody.
Hey, where's the diversity hire?
I got a dude in my car. I didn't ask for it, but the whole world is watching. Boy, it's okay. You don't like me. Man, I'm not out here to be your friend. I need to know if shit pop off that you got my back.
Can't hide it, Wood. Humans have physical tells. Like the face.
What's my face?
The human who needs a lot more conjugal love type face.
Do not wink at me like that.
All Westlake units requesting assistance.
3 Adam 9, show us en route.
Shouldn't we wait for the cavalry?
We are the cavalry.
What is it?
Hey! Hey! Freeze!
That's a magic wand. This is like a new nuclear weapon that grants wishes.
That's whatever you want. You want to be taller or shorter? You want $10 million?
You're not stealing that wine.
Days I close my eyes and fade away.
You gotta get out of this neighborhood.
That's just the dark side of me.
They're gonna kill you, then me. And that's when the stupid shit's gonna start.
Not afraid of the dark.
The magic wand. We have to secure it.
I'm already knowing ain't nobody got my back.
They don't teach that at the academy.
No, they do not.
I am not afraid, I am not afraid.
They're gonna keep coming.
I am not afraid, I am not afraid.
Let's do it.
Some days I can't get out of my head. That's just the dark side of me.
We might be in a prophecy.
We're not in a prophecy. We're in a stolen Toyota Corolla.
All right, damn.
Would you see it? Will you
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
it?
Would you guys see that? There you go. That's coming out on Netflix later this year.
Yeah.
That movie's nuts looking.
Right? I know one of our editors who got to see that preview before everyone else had said that it looks like Cops meets Lord of the Rings with all of the orcs, but also the cops.
Definitely. It's an interesting concept. It's kind of cool. Like, I always like magic in the real world. Like the Harry Potter series kind of only like touch on that, and Fantastic Beasts is doing it, but it's like because it's set in the 20s, it feels less like contemporary. Obviously, it's not contemporary. So I always like kind of like those kind of like urban fantasy, I believe is the term for these kind of things, and they're doing something really interesting with it. I think there's a lot of really interesting stories to potentially tell as like a cop procedural with all this, like in a world where magical creatures are real and are trying to integrate into society. The director who was the director of End of Watch is an amazing police film. If you guys haven't seen that with Jake Gyllenhaal, it's just one of those like just really intense looks at kind of like what goes into being a police officer. So it's kind of neat that like he's gonna take that seriousness and that respect and that like pull no punches kind of truth telling about this, and then set it in a world where the rules are all different because there's magic now.
Yeah.
And like, how do you deal with that?
I feel like Will Smith is believable in this already since he has his Men in Black background and Independence Day, and you can just believe the fact that yes, Will Smith is capable of being amongst all these creatures and this magic.
Yeah, I think it's like the kind of perfect zone for Will Smith. It's that like action heavy kind of like serious thing with like flashes of humor in there and stuff, because he's such a funny guy. He's really good at that.
He's gonna be the genie. If everybody remembers
yes,
that.
he is gonna be the genie. But like he was really great as Hancock in there up until the end of Hancock when that whole went down there. But like he was really good for that. So I'm excited to see that. Also, the soundtrack sounds really good. It's a movie. It's been a while since movies have advertised their soundtrack, and you've been excited to buy one. I remember buying like the Batman and Robin soundtrack as a kid because it had all those that sweet Seal song. Well, that's from Batman Forever.
Kiss from a Rose.
It had that R. Kelly song and
thinking.
that Jewel song and that Alanis Morissette song, and now I feel super old. Musicians you haven't heard from in a long time.
It's gonna be interesting too. I wanted like a movie on Netflix too. I mean, that's kind of getting into like original territory for them. They've only come out with a few. I think like maybe what was it, War Machine with Brad Pitt was like one of the possibly recent ones. But I hope it does really well because I would love to get more original movies on Netflix because I think that's just an awesome concept for them to keep exploring.
Yeah, and it's great that they're going like all over the place. Like they started with Beasts of No Nation, which is just this intensely serious film about like Africa and warlords and Okja is
Oh,
I don't even know
yes.
how to describe that movie. If you haven't seen that and you have Netflix, go watch that immediately.
Tilda
It's
Swinton and a giant pig.
it's indescribable and it's incredible. So it's cool to see them like really like taking all these risks. Like I don't like think
Yeah.
Bright's a film that could necessarily be in theaters in the way that they're trying to make it in there. It feels like the freedom of Netflix as a platform has allowed storytelling to expand a lot more.
And I think it's great that they're getting such big names for this stuff too. Now, I mean, it's clearly the way of the future. At least we'll see. So, and Netflix can't cancel it, so it's just gonna be there as one.
Yeah. Coming up next, we've got one that you're excited for. It's the sequel to your favorite British boy Bond action extravaganza
this is my
film,
James Bond, 'cause
Kingsman.
I'm not a total Bond fan, but this is my Bond.
Yeah, so we've got the trailer coming up for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Let's watch that.
We're from the Kingsman Tailor's shop in London. Maybe you've heard of us?
Today marks the beginning of a new age. Wait, I'm gonna show you. Say goodbye to the Kingsman.
Kind of got a bit of a save the world situation here.
Welcome to Statesman.
As your American cousins, we'll be working side by side.
Let's get started.
We've got brains, skills, skipping rope.
It's a lasso.
Whatever. It's very American.
Yeah, it is.
Manners maketh a man.
You know what that means.
All right.
Who's gonna see the Kingsman 2?
That looks so dope.
It's
That-
so good.
The first one was already so fun. It's just like one of those.
Unexpectedly, like nobody really kind of saw that happening.
Yeah, kind of came out of nowhere. It was based on like a comic, but I don't
Yeah.
think like not
Which
one
a
that
lot
was
of
like
people
quite
didn't
as
know.
known. Yeah, which is nice. It's one of those like comic book films that didn't advertise itself necessarily as a comic book.
They did it right. Like,
Yeah. So you just
they
kind of went
kind of
into
snuck it in there.
Yeah, like Wanted was the same way. It was one of those things where it was
Oh,
like,
I
oh,
love
it was
Wanted,
a
yeah.
comic book, and you just and then you're like, oh, I see that now, and you watch it. But yes, just incredibly fun. The first one did so much, and I just was not expecting them to be like, oh, hey, America's got this equally crazy,
Yeah.
like branch of government too that like does all these things, and it opens it somewhere because I think what Kingsman's interesting for is that it takes that Bond trope of cool gadgets and then like cranks it all the way up
Yeah, to
into
11.
like to the level of absurdity that just makes every fight scene hilarious just by what they're doing. When they're showing it and he's like his briefcase
Yeah, it just
is
starts-
like the gun that makes no sense, but I love it. Like
It's the next best like form of using a umbrella as a weapon since like Hagrid's wand, like you know how he can zap people with his umbrella, and this is just like someone getting like gunshot so bad through an umbrella. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. The very first one, I was just like, I want to get recruited. And then they're like, oh, by the way, there's an American one, Statesman. I was like, okay, now I could probably get recruited.
Yeah, be
So
the
this
next
is
Statesman.
fantastic. Yeah, and we had talked, I think, yesterday about Channing Tatum's Agent Tequila's lasso and just how awesome it is. Like, this was basically the first trailer that kind of showed us that
Yeah.
weaponry for him. And it
Yeah.
kind of almost looked like Jeff Bridges' character, his cowboy hat might act as a weapon. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the American side of things sneak their weapons in
there. And it's also just really cool because as like a Channing Tatum fan, I was excited when they kind of announced that he was going to be like Gambit and for him to kind of like enter into this superhero space. And then that's kind of like not happening. Maybe I don't know where that's going. So it's cool to see him be in the thing where he can kind of be not a superhero per se, but like but be a cool superhero type like person and see that, because I think he's one of those people who is well suited to the role and is just like a lot of fun and seems to have fun with everything he does.
Are you saying that Magic Mike wasn't a superhero? Because I believed in Magic Mike.
No comment on my opinions about Magic Mike.
His dance moves were his powers.
Yes, his super gyrating hips. But also nice to see Oberon.
I know. He's come back, but not really. Yeah, I know the Red Viper is coming back into an ensemble cast again.
Yeah, I give him a shout out. He's like not. He gets no billing in that thing. But yeah, but super cool. Those movies are a lot of fun. They're also, fair warning, extremely violent. So don't be fooled by like how silly it looks. Trailer. It was. Oh, was it the Red Band one? Did we show that? Did you guys see a dude get lassoed in half? Like his Channing Tatum's lasso is also like a lightsaber lasso, and it cuts people apart. So like very violent.
Immediately.
Kind of moving over into television.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of all the Netflix Marvel shows.
Yes.
Well, I'm a big fan of 3 of the Netflix Marvel shows, and then I watch one of the
I
other
bet
ones.
I know which one you're not.
Yeah, three guesses which one I don't like that much. But the promise of these shows has always been that they're going to be part of a team, and that this is going to be this new kind of franchise for Netflix that can potentially cross over with the MCU. It's all in the same universe. To do that. So we have a new trailer for The Defenders that just premiered. So let's actually roll The Defenders.
The greatest stories ever told. Heroes show us we don't need to be perfect to do what's right. It's not about living without fear, but facing injustice. It's not about being powerful, but finding your calling when you least expect it. They show us it's okay to be vulnerable, no matter how tough you are. Because even though they're heroes, they're still human.
Discover the greatest stories ever told. Only on Netflix.
Looks like I got here just in time.
That's right. Always with the end credits, Marvel.
Yeah, I always have to
always
have that
stick around for the
at
end credit. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm excited.
Tempering your expectations?
I'm tempering my
now?
expectations. It's cool. It looks cool. I'm excited. Like we haven't gotten to see these characters aside from like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage like really interact. And so I'm excited to see more of that. It looks like they've been showing some clips, and it feels like maybe like Daredevil is gonna become a little less of like a total dick. I don't know. By the end of season 2, I wasn't liking Daredevil that much. As a person, he just like he wasn't like he was ruining all his friendships. He was just kind of like he's so moody.
But
I mean, his girlfriend died again, but like you know, he was still being kind of like it was hard to like him.
He's blind. Like he's got it bad, man. Like
he has superpowers. He doesn't like that's not like a handicap at all for him. But it's cool. So I think it's like we need to do that. There's also been some clips where like Iron Fist will try to like do some quips and Jessica Jones shuts him down and stuff. So like it's nice to see the kind of dynamics and the personalities really like come out and show it in there.
I do see Daredevil as being like slightly of the more boring personalities between them, at least in terms of like how reasonable he is since he's a lawyer, you know, where he's not. It really gets interesting when he starts fighting, and like the villains have always been more of the like the deep character for me in those ones. Although I do think that he had some really great moments with the Punisher and like trying to figure out like what he's really doing for, you know, his vigilante purposes. But I mean, coming off of that trailer, I just want Stan Lee to read me a bedtime story every night because like that's an amazing narration. If anybody missed that, that was actually Stan Lee narrating for the trailer.
And it sounds like he's going to actually be like narrating the show. Like he's this.
He's
kind
the
of
Ron
like,
Howard of this.
Yeah, he's this like entity. Maybe not. He's like a character who shows up, but he will be like doing the openings and closings and stuff and narrating and stuff, which is cool. Cause I kind of like narrators in those things. It makes it feel very comic book.
Yeah, right.
It still keeps it very comic book esque to kind of have that like the author's voice in a way.
It feels a lot more
like,
epic too. You know, it's like
it does like it's a story being
like
told throughout time when it has a narrator to it. Are you excited for the Punisher to like come back?
Yes, he was one of my favorite parts of the last season, and I love John Bernthal as the Punisher.
Oh, he nailed it.
I wanted so much more of him in season 2. Actually, like he became more interesting to me than Matt Murdock, like for sure. I thought that he was just really, really great. It was perfect casting. I mean, really, like
for sure.
The character and the actor really clicked. So yes, I'm super thrilled that he's going to be back for this, and especially since I mean, the Defenders themselves, like all 4 of them, kind of like bridge. There's a dotted line between their heroism and kind of like a little bit of their baggage to themselves. Yeah. But the Punisher is like the ultimate. Like you kind of know what you're going to get from him, but he's also so human, which is great from the narration of Stan Lee reminding us that they're heroes, but they're also human. But is Punisher a hero? I mean, that could be argued.
Yeah, I would definitely label him anti-hero and stuff in there. And he's a tricky character to get right because he kind of he's from a different era in like storytelling, and it just like it can be hard to like root for him or have like an extended amount of it. And Jibber, I think John Bernthal did an amazing job. He's a perfect cast. He's by far the best Punisher. Like, which is like it's a low bar. Like,
I'm
he's
a
better
Thomas
than
Jane fan.
You like Thomas Jane Punisher?
Yep.
Right.
Oh, all day.
Oh man. Oh.
That was my first.
Are we ranking? I mean, we're not ranking them on handsomeness. Like, he's for sure the handsomest Punisher.
Sean's a good-looking guy too.
Sure.
I don't know. I was rooting for Thomas Jane through and through. Like he's literally been the Punisher in my head until Marvel's Netflix series, and now it's like. Now I see another person as being a Punisher, but Thomas Jane. Oh yeah, I mean when he came into like Scott Pilgrim and stuff, I was like, it's the Punisher coming in to punish the vegan cops. But yeah, no, I love Thomas Jane. Let's argue about this. You know, at some point we should really throw down on Thomas Jane.
On who is the best Punisher? We can have a whole show about that. Definitely will do that, and just talk about John Bernthal because he's great in every role that he's in. He really commits. That's an actor who, like, gives everything to his things. He was talking at New York City Comic Con about Punisher, and he like his life history is like amazing. He went to this like rigorous acting school in like Russia. Like he wanted to like perfect his craft, and so he like flew to Siberia to do it. It's weird. It's basically like a Batman story, but for acting. It's so great. It's like in The Magicians where they send everyone to the Arctic and the mean Russian guy teaches them to do better magic. He did that, but for acting. And I think that's like super awesome. And he always does so much research and he like lives those parts and he does all these things and he like commits himself to the point where he like doesn't see his family sometimes and he like does all this stuff and he has to like and then he like sheds it and he like comes back. And I thought that was just kind of this like cool like approach to it for him to like be like that committed to things.
But that's like his thing, right? Is that you've got like Daniel Day-Lewis's who are the method actors.
Yeah.
But John Bernthal is just so cool. Like I don't think he like. That's what I love so much about his Punisher one was like Thomas Jane was just angry and like pissed and he was just gonna go out there, and John gave it much more of the emotion that you'd want, and he was just so badass and cool. Like. You can't help but want to root for him.
Definitely. Keeping up with the comic book inspired television shows, the new show Krypton was announced, which is a prequel show about kind of like Superman's origins or the origins of his family. And they released a teaser trailer here at Comic-Con, which doesn't show a lot, but we're going to show it for you right now.
The blood of House L will always bind us together.
All right, that was it. There you go.
19 seconds.
What do you think about that? Are you excited for Krypton?
No.
No.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry. I think it might just be because I actually am one of those people who doesn't find Superman very interesting. He's one of my least favorite comic book characters. I watched the hell out of Lois and Clark when I was younger with my family, but that was also because I really like Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, and they were my peeps. But nowadays I just don't really find Superman that, like, he looks like he's a guy with rocks in his head. Like, I don't know. I just don't really. I'm not all in there with the Superman hype. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see where did he come from and his parents, but also I don't really care either. So I don't know. How about you?
I'm kind of the same way. It's like, because it's a Superman show without Superman, right? There's no Superman in it, and it's also Krypton. If you guys are familiar with kind of how that works, is that Kryptonians don't have like superpowers normally. Like, they got their powers because Earth's sun is different. It's yellow versus their red one, and that's where they derive their powers. So it's also like a Superman show with no superpowers, and just kind of feels like they're trying to do this kind of like Game of Thrones, like houses rising to power, like a House of Cards maybe kind of show about the families of the superheroes. And that's not any question I have about Superman, I guess,
right?
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the burning Superman questions I necessarily had and stuff. I mean, I do want to find out. I mean, I assume that this culminates in the planet exploding, so maybe I'll show up for the last season to find out how that happens, because they always change that every time. Sometimes it's Brainiac, sometimes it's their own hubris. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they do that, and also where this fits with any canon. Is it related to?
Right.
Is this going to be
Is it
Supergirls?
inside? Yeah.
Like Krypton, or
Are there
like
gonna be any
is this
crossovers?
yet another independent like Superman
DC,
timeline, which brings
yeah.
us up to like 5 or 6 of them or something, like between movies and television
Right.
shows and stuff. So it's a little interesting. So verdict's out. Like I said, teaser trailer, literally nothing about it.
Yeah.
But
maybe when the real one comes out, it'll be a little different.
we'll see. I think there's potential. If you said we're doing Game of Thrones about superheroes, I would go like, okay, I'm intrigued.
Right. I'd be like, I won't watch it, but tell me more.
Like, yeah,
and then
like
maybe.
I could see why you would greenlight that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of there. This next one's not actually a trailer. It's a clip from another upcoming Netflix show. Do we have any like anime fans out there? Anyone a fan of Death Note? No, not Death Note.
And that's when they leave.
And then peace out. I do not blame you for leaving at the Death Note clip, because we're gonna rag on some Death Note right here. But let's roll this clip.
Shall we begin?
Relax, Light. You're asleep. You're asleep and you're dreaming of some 8-foot-tall, demon-looking motherfucker.
Oh, yes. A dream. I like that. Dreams are places you can have fun, right? It's all in your mind, so why not enjoy it? Shh. Listen. Go check it out. we could, in this dream of yours, take care of a situation like this. We just put Kenny's name down and see what happens. I know you want to. Go on. Help her.
I don't have a pen. It's a good thing that you have a pen.
Good. Now, as long as we're playing, let's do it right. There's no need to stop it. Who?
Sorry, what else is there?
How? For a beginner, not bad at all. Now, watch.
I don't know about you, but I wanted to see that dude get decapitated if they didn't show it to us. All right. So like, in all fairness, to compliment this, I really like Willem Dafoe's voice as Rick, the death god, in there. I think that is, he has that perfectly, like, creepy, sinisterly deep, like, kind of voice, and it's
definitely sinister. I just can't stop hearing the Green Goblin. That's like my only issue, is that it's just like, is he talking to James Franco? Is he talking to himself? I don't know. But it's true, though. It's like very foreboding and like, oh my God, you should definitely be terrified of this voice.
Yeah. That happened for me when I watched Finding Nemo, and he was that, like, angelfish.
Oh.
And I was like, weird. I'm just hearing the Green Goblin try to teach Nemo to jump the volcano. But it's cool. On that note, forgive the puns. Yeah, boo. Like, obviously that story has to happen. He has to write names in that book. But, like, why the hell would you ever do anything that dude said? Like, he rolls up into your room and he's like, hey man, why don't you write this dude's name in a book and how he dies? You'd be like, no, like, ever. Like, or as a person, and you were like, and they're like, how does he die? Why wouldn't you just write, like, painless aneurysm? Like, why would your first step is like decapitation. Like, why not?
Wait a minute though. If a dark red-eyed creature with the voice of William Dafoe was telling you to do something, would you not do it? And it would be
I'd be afraid not to do it. I want to say that I'd be like super brave and be like, cool, what was your name again? Like, how do I spell that? Like, that. What happens if you misspell their name? What if you're like bad about spelling? Does someone else?
He just keeps getting really frustrated with you.
Is he good about it? Like, it feels like it's like Genie Rules, where he has the ability to interpret. Like that name was pretty common. Like, does every dude with that name die? Yeah. Like, because that's kind of
like with an I or with an E. And then he's just like, grab a pencil and erase it.
Why did you write this in pen?
You're an idiot.
This paper's really expensive. But yeah, that's cool. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, like, Death Note's a manga and anime series that like was popular a few years back, and it's one of those things where people are kind of mad for the like kind of whitewashing of these stories.
Right.
And I don't think there's not. Like, they went and redid the whole thing, so it's set in America. It's not like set in Japan.
It is an American version.
But at the same note, like, why couldn't it have been set in Japan? Why couldn't it have started a Japanese cast? Why couldn't you have stayed that close to the thing? I don't think I needed the Seattle like cover of this like too.
But what's the difference between that and like the Grudge movies or like The Ring, like things that were originally
for sure,
you know, like what I mean, people are pissed about it and stuff just because of the, like, changing, and maybe it's because they're sticking with the same characters and, you know, like things like that, and maybe like there were more creative liberties with stuff like The Grudge or The Ring and everything, but it still just seems like it's just source material, and now they're just Americanizing it.
It's true. To the point of The Grudge, actually, fun trivia, the American one is actually directed by the same guy from the Japanese one, and the story is that, like, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is living in Japan, so it's the same house in Japan, it's the same characters, it's the same curse, it's just a Western character's been brought into it. So I thought that was actually really well done. I thought that was
You'd almost
a
think that would
clever
piss you off
way.
more, though, right? Where you're like, okay, well, now let's just bring a white girl into Japan and do it.
Well, by that point, there had been 4 Juons.
Right.
So, like, I don't know, you could have a difference.
Have there
How
been
many
a
how many
few
Japanese
Death Notes?
schoolgirls keep wandering into this cursed house for no reason?
First
Like,
of all, The Grudge scares the burn out
The
of me.
Grudge is super scary. I don't like flickering lights in public restrooms or any stairwells.
Well, that's the
now.
thing, is the difference with The Grudge was that it brought it out, like, in real life, right? Like,
Yes,
The
that it
Ring had
follows
it
you.
contained, right? Yes, The Grudge follows you. Like,
That.
they got up into your bed. Like,
Yes,
that's the number one. Nope.
I think that scene's brilliant because it was one of those few moments where I was like, oh, this is exactly how I'd react to this. I would run away from that place. I would go back to my house. I would turn on all of my lights and the TV. And I would like try to do that. And then just to like have it show up and like mess you and then kill you is like super terrifying. That it follows you around. So I thought that was really neat.
All right, well, we have time for one more trailer.
We have one more, and it's another superhero show. This one on ABC, kind of piggybacking off of what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been doing. They've been teasing the Inhumans for a while, and now we're finally going to learn what the Inhumans are as like a full thing. So let's roll that clip from the Inhumans.
Been looking for you.
What are we?
What if I told you there's a place where people have powers like us? The city of Adelan. And I can take you there. We're Inhumans.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this, see what's behind.
Brother, sooner or later, the humans are going to find us.
Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying.
Their first course of action will be to try to destroy us.
Run!
I'm only human after all.
We need to go to Earth now. We need to strike first.
It would only lead to war.
Are you speaking for yourself or for our king?
Some people got the real problem. Some people lot of love. Only human after all.
Maximus is trying to take over Adelan.
Put the blame on me.
Are you going to kill your only brother?
Don't put the blame on me. Stop it! Don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. Hey, I'm only human after all.
Honor me
I'm
as
only
your new
human
king.
After all, don't put the blame on me.
Never.
Don't put your blame on me.
You're just a human.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the thing. We talked before about Krypton kind of feeling like Game of Thrones, but this one also feels a lot like a superhero Game of Thrones. And maybe that's just because Ramsay Bolton is in it and seems to be the main villain, Maximus. But it's interesting. This is another one where I'm like, I'm not sold yet. Like,
No.
I'm not setting my DVR just yet. Like,
It just looks like it's trying really hard without spending enough money behind it.
it's the budget. I think
for it,
it's what the
right?
budget is. I'm really worried. Like Medusa, the character, has like her hair. Her power is that her hair like whips around and does stuff, and like it's really hard to make that not look super stupid. And
besides the fact that the hair itself is just so blatantly a wig.
Yeah, her hair when it's not doing its power stuff looks really bad anyway.
Right.
So, like,
yeah, I'm not sure about the ensemble. I believe Ramsey to be a bad guy, so that is all right. Like, yep, he's a villain. He's gonna be an ass. Got it. But it's just it just borders on over the top ridiculousness, like where he's just like sprawled out on some stairs, just making some threats, and it's like, are you kidding me right now?
I'm still trying to hold out hope because the Inhumans as a story and as characters are pretty cool. So they are like a royal family from the moon, and they like they all have different powers and stuff, and they end up on Earth and they're trying to do this stuff. But like, so there's a cool story to tell there. It's a different story from what we've seen before. So I'm holding out hope that they do kind of like lean into that and they have some stuff. But I think they're really gonna have to do that because like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't like overextend their reach when they started. They went slowly and they built it up and they like introduced powers like slowly into it and you were allowed to adapt. And this is gonna be like they've already got powers when they start. Like they're all like here's a bunch of superheroes and stuff, and now they're in Hawaii. It's set in Hawaii when they go to Earth, weirdly enough. You know, sonic blasting and hair whipping and big teleporting doggo. And
I'm
stuff.
hoping
Who's
maybe
the best part?
like the low expectations might help bring it better. I'm just hoping that they don't fall into some of like the weaker X-Men like feels, you know, of it being that ensemble cast and everything.
Yeah,
so.
it also struggles with it just not being as popular as like the X-Men and stuff.
At least
but
Agents has teased it out and like people are expecting it.
Yeah, I think FX though is having success with like Legion, which is also a story that people might not be as familiar with and like who that character is and stuff. So those shows are striving. So if I think of that and like The Gifted is also kind of doing interesting stuff. So we'll see if superhero stories can survive without the like star power of a hugely popular name. Like someone would argue that Black Bolt actually is very popular. I know him, and I'm a geek. So it's cool. Like, and I'm fine with that. I'll take some geeky fan service shows.
Yeah. You guys gonna watch Inhumans?
Is that him? We're getting some
oh,
shrugs,
no,
some collective, lots of.
Well, that's about all we have for trailers right now. Make sure that you stay tuned to us. Go to fandom.com and see all the different trailers coming out of Comic-Con. You can stay tuned to us here on Facebook as well, and we're going to be going through even more of the news coming out of Comic-Con. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.